So, what's up, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Eve Campus Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff. So, today we're diving deep into Null-Sec with DEATHROE, CEO of Arkenstone Foundries. It's a tight knit group in Providence as part of the Reeloaded Alliance. So, a little bit of a disclaimer I did briefly fly with Arkenstone for a bit. So, Ro, thanks for joining us. Tell us a bit about yourself and what got you hooked on Eve Online.
Oh, that's man, you come and swing come and swing with a good one right away. uh yeah, I have been playing on and off Eve for I don't even know how long, but since 2012. Um I believe is when I first started playing with my main character. And yeah, just been on and off since. A lot of solo play originally, or jump around from a couple different corps to uh where I am now with Arc 5 for sure. Um it's been an interesting ride. I'd say that.
Yeah, I would believe so. So it's you've been playing for about 14 years. Did you take long breaks? Like, did you win Eve at some point, or
Oh
were you
yeah.
fairly consistent?
No, I definitely won Eve a few times. And you know, came crawling back eventually, of course. But from 2012 I played for like a couple years and then took a really long break. Maybe playing in like little pocket spurts, but nothing like substantial. And then I believe it was 2015, no, 2016, like late 2016 and 2017 and onward, I picked it back up again for a pretty substantial amount of time. And then that's roughly, I believe Arc 5 was founded in 2018.
Yes.
Uh and that's when I played for a little bit more of a substantial amount of time after that. I took another big break at some point. It was in like 2019, 2020, like late 2019. Um I took another big break, and then just actually came back again this past summer in like June. And we've been playing uh from then, pretty much bringing back Arc 5 from the ashes, because we grew a lot in 2018, when I first founded it. And then um we got into a pretty massive war, broke it up. Kind of got burnt out from the game because it was a tough loss for us. And then kind of started from nothing again in this past summer, and we've been doing pretty good.
Well, it's very nice to hear. And in Nullsec, you mostly do industry, but you also do combat. If you were to choose your favorite facet of the Eve universe, would you say you prefer the eternal grind, like the industry, or like the thrill of combat?
That is also a tough question. So like me, that's I really think that's player choice. Um I'm not sure how to answer honestly, cuz I like everything. And that kind of goes with me as a person, like playing like even my game choice. Um outside of Eve, I'm a jack of all trades. I suck at everything. But I like to do a little bit of everything to kind of keep it fresh and mix things up. I get kind of ground down and bored of doing the same thing all the time. Now, granted, with that being said, when I first started playing Eve, I was a miner at heart. And I have some like okay industrial skills. So like my core structure, and where realistically most of my accounts, like where all their primary skill sets are all in mining, or they have like a mining fundamental base to them.
Yeah, that's the
um
same. All of my accounts have one minor, and then I branched out the other alts after.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've been doing a lot more combat, outside of mining. I did like PvE, I did some exploring. I already talked about the industry part of it, like research, all that, like the manufacturing and invention. Um, I did hauling for a stint too, like literally picking up contracts and scooting that stuff around. I think I mentioned exploring already, and then I've been like after we joined Reeloaded Alliance, which is a part of Red Menace Coalition. We have been experiencing a lot of PvP combat, which originally I was kind of scared of because like a player versus a player, like I was always intimidated because every like MMO, every other like you just even play Call of Duty, like I just assumed the other guy on the other side of the table or the other team is just always better than me. That's not always the case, and Eve is a pretty unforgiving place sometimes when it comes to PvP combat, and you know it's really like a trial by fire. But I have been pleasantly surprised that it's very enjoyable. It's very enjoyable. People make money off of it. I'm not one to really do that. I just like the thrill of the hunt a little bit right now.
I feel you. Eve Online has a very different PvP side from all the other games. It's the sense of loss. Like, you lose it all, right? Like, I come from, starting like early 2000s, even a bit before that, I was a big Ultima Online player where, most of the free shards where you can lose everything if you get PK'd. So I kind of found that back again when I discovered Eve.
Yeah, it's a lot of stress and it brings a lot of stressors into it, but I think it also has its own um undertone of excitement to it. There's risk. Like, your money's on the line. Just like with like how a lot of like today's like pop culture um gaming like extraction shooters and stuff like that, like that are coming out, like Escape from Tarkov, and you got like the Arc Raiders and whatever else is going on right now in the world. I think a lot of like those businesses are kind of catching in to what like Eve and the other games you were mentioning like have been doing for eons now, it feels.
Yeah, for decades, indeed. And I think it's that sense of loss that makes us want to get better as players. You play any kind of FPS or whatever tower defense game, like you lose. That's too bad. Next, you'll just win the next time. So you don't really have consequences compared to Eve, where you can lose like billions in such a small mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can even misclick or get caught up in a scam or something in this game, and you know have a really unfortunate circumstance. But I kind of like it too because although it's like sci-fi and a different atmosphere or genre essentially, like it has a lot of like really good like real world qualities that I really enjoy about it. And yeah, I don't know what it is about Eve, but like I just keep coming back.
Yeah,
It's
I
it's
joined the
great.
party very late. Like I joined maybe 2 years ago. But yeah, fuck, I wish I found out about that game in 2003. Seriously.
Oh yeah, yeah. I only heard stories of the early like 2000s
Yeah.
for Eve.
All right, then
But
when you actually started the corp, was that a solo project or did you have like early friends helping you start that from the start?
so I actually started two corporations before. I could look at my history and my character. Uh there it is, employment. So I joined the Unicorn faction for a little bit, literally a day. And I remember those guys because ever since I started playing the game, I knew I wanted to like make a clan or join a be a leader of a corp of some kind. And I remember joining these guys and asking them how to do it, and they kind of explained to me how it goes, and I immediately just jumped ship and tried to do my own thing. And I established Death Corporation way back when, and had that corp for quite a long time. And that was me, straight up just alone, one character, recruiting whoever would come my way, and it was all in game as well. And I remember, I don't remember how many people were in it, but it was like two or three solid players that were also just like solo mining, just like I was in a couple systems. And like you log in, you settle in. If you're a solo miner in high sec, like you kind of log in, you pick a system, that you're comfortable with, and you just kind of settle in there, and then you just kind of get a idea of the locals, and who's around you and who's kind of also doing the same thing and living in your space, all the corps. There was no player structures back then, so it was just like the NPC stations. And um yeah, I had like a little cool group of friends that I made, just straight up on my own, and we held it down for a while. And then after that, I just jumped around doing random stuff, NPC corpse. I did a couple different like player owned corporations, and then took like some pretty big breaks in between those as well. And then when I came back, I cough cough like convinced uh some of my real life buddies to come play again, because I was on a break, and I had the itch to come back and play Eve, but I knew how like boring it was, and like not as fun. I saw the potential, but I knew it wasn't fun to play alone. I'm a really like social person as well, and I'm like, you know what, like let me see what I could do here. And I was playing. I used to play in a milsim group on Arma 3, so I was in a big clan, a big group that mimicked a real world, like essentially like battalion from the U.S. military. And we would do like milsim operations in Arma 3, Arma 2, and then it migrated to Arma 3, and it was a really good time. And I met a lot of really good people doing that. And we used to, I think it's still alive to this day. Actually, it's called the 506 Milsim group, or 506 IR. And I had a real life buddy that was playing with me. His name's James. And him and I like are really good friends, and we just played everything together, honestly. And then I met a bunch of good guys from the 506, Terrence being one of them, um, plus a few others. And James and Terrence and I told them about Eve, and they were really interested in it, and we started playing together. And we just kind of decided, like together, as a group, to like form a corporation again on our own. And like that's kind of, it's really what happened. um I had formed the corp, and we agreed on a name together. It was actually heavily influenced by Terrence, the name of the group, which I mean, we all agreed on it together. But um, yeah, if my memory serves properly, he actually suggested the name. And yeah, we've been playing since, just recruiting anybody. I mean, like we don't pull into anybody, but as much as we can, trying to recruit on all platforms, because Eve has been around for so long, and everybody says that Eve's dying, but I really heavily disagree with that. Especially with all the cool updates and all the stuff that's blowing up in the universe right now. Then um, I think it's bringing back in a really cool resurgence. But yeah, Arkenstone is been a labor of love from the three of us for quite some time, and it's got a lot of fun history behind it. People come and go, but the stories are still there, and um, it does mean a lot to me.
Yeah, that's the spirit. It's kind of funny you mentioned the fact that everyone always says like Eve is dying. Like that's been a meme for like 20 years, and seriously,
Mhm.
the state of the game right now, especially since Catalyst, I think it brought back many old players and many new players as well. The new mining centered update.
I almost want to say it's the first of its kind in quite a while. I can't even recall the last time there was a mining focused update, like ever. I'm sure there was, of course, but other than like the overhaul of like the ships and what they look like, because I still remember the gross mining barge, the
Oh, do
original
you?
mining barge skins.
Yeah, I never had the chance to see those.
Yeah, those are interesting.
So, when you started Arkenstone, did it start as a high sec corp or you went straight to null sec?
Yeah, no, it was definitely high sec. High sec started. High sec was like primaried um with like actually no intentions of going to null sec ever, unless we got like super big, like I because I knew that I didn't know how to solve, metric like the like those rules and everything worked back then. I had no idea, but I know I just didn't even have a chance unless I had like a massive like group of people, to help maintain it all. But yeah, yeah, our original intentions were not to go to null sec like whatsoever. It was just to stay in high sec and mine and produce materials and bring it to market. And actually, I don't even think we were going to get into industry, to be honest. I think we were going to be a straight mining corp and then just wholesale or like get contracted out to procure, bulk orders for
Yeah,
like
like
industrial
buyback
based corp.
services and stuff.
Yeah, but then like as we developed, we kind of jumped into the more industrial part of the game.
Yep, industry's quite the grind, but I mean, you just add value over that ore, and it's worth it. If you have like the mental bandwidth to dive into industry, I think it's real worth it to pursue.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of unique people in the Eve universe that um really dig in and with everything, like with Trello boards and Excel sheets and really live up to the spreadsheet simulator
Oh yeah,
memes
I
that this
think
game can be.
us industry people are like the nerdiest of the nerds, right? In that game.
120%. Yeah, like I will stand by that for sure. But it's fun though, it's fun in its own right, and it's very satisfying and rewarding too. You need some patience, you need diligence and organization, but like once you kind of get a little rhythm going, it's and you make you see the green tick isk come into your bank account after you sell something you've been working on for a while. Like it's nice.
Yeah, even if you sell a station container for like 25K, it's just awesome to see that wallet go up like every few minutes.
Yeah, anything. It doesn't even, yeah, you're right. Like it doesn't even matter. Like is you're making money. You already calculated your profit for whatever you're selling at that moment. So when that little tick comes through or you log on for the day and you see your wallet's flashing orange, it's a good day for sure.
Yes, it is clearly. So you started ArcFi in 2018, and as I seen, you've been in 4 alliances, including Reloaded, your current one. What's the story there?
Oh man. Oh, you're looking at the history of the corp itself, right? Yeah. That let me look, dude. I don't even remember. Um, okay, so yeah, founded 2018. Care Factor. Yes. Care Factor was the first one. Care Factor was actually a part of Proviblock with CVA in Providence way long time ago. And so like where CVA and Red Menace and Reloaded live now, we're all in Providence. So that was actually our first venture out that way. So we were thinking about it, and we're like, you know what? Hey, we're a small group. It was me, Terrence, James, and maybe like 3 or 4 other people that we had like onboarded. Through like recruitment and random interactions, right? Um, and we had big aspirations, and we're like, you know what, like we need to try and dip our toes in nullsec and see what's going on. And I didn't know anything about anything, to be totally honest with you, and I was just scrolling through the alliance. Man, I it's crazy you talking about this because I you're bringing back memories. Like I remember vividly like scrolling endlessly through the alphabetical list of alliances
Oh
in
wow.
the Eve, corp um alliance like catalog. And I couldn't tell you why. I don't remember, but Care Factor just kind of stood out for some reason, and we just went with it. And we were with Care Factor for quite a while. Um, and those guys were really really good group of guys. We held solve there for quite a while, and then there was some kind of a war that broke out in Providence, and we were losing. APOC was there, CVA was there, Care Factor, and there. I'm sure there was other alliances. I wasn't I wasn't as in the know with like the political and the geopolitical aspect of it all at the time. But we were there, and then they kind of allowed us to essentially just kind of hunker down in like two and a half different systems over there, and we just lived there for quite a while. Just sat, mined. They ended up that was when player structures were a thing back then, so we ended up putting up a couple moon drills, like Athenors, and we just kind of did our thing. And I remember our bread and butter was we made we set up a production chain to make tier 2 barges, and we were just pumping out Mackinaws and Hulks and then shipping them up to like a Mar or Jita to sell. And that was a lot of fun. But unfortunately, kind of built a bit off a little too much and too much that we could chew, because I think it was three stations. We had a Tatara and two Athenors that we occupied and had moons on, and it was only like five or six of us at the time, like me, James, Terrence, and then the couple other guys that we had. But people kind of started getting burnt out. Um, we had like cloaky campers that would come in. There was a lot of people like neutrals um, that would fly through, and that was a little difficult to live with because at the time, Provi Block was a nerds or an NRDS sanctioned like coalition. So NRDS was not red, don't shoot. So any neutrals that came through, or neutral standing like players, like we did not engage them on first contact. They had to aggress us, and then we would have to report up that they were aggressive, and then we would flag them as red. And that's how that system worked pretty much. But you can imagine how terrifying that could be sometimes.
Yeah,
You
because
know, we're
every neutral is a threat, but you cannot react to it. Like the rules of engagement are against you, right?
technically, yeah, technically. So like neutrals are neutrals. If you're brave enough, some people ignored them in nerds, until they got attacked. Um, there's a lot of explorers that came through, and you kind of learned their names and stuff like that. So you'd see them pop in, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm not worried about it, like whatever. But other people you didn't know their names, or were random, and you couldn't tell what ship they were in, or even if they were in a ship, like you didn't know if they were going to come and get you or not. So you know, it's weird that it was a weird system to live by. I liked it at the time because I thought it was an honorable thing to do, especially to like give like newer players or struggling players a chance. I thought that was a cool thing that Providence did that no other coalitions, within like the Null-Sec ring, Null-Sec donut, like none of them did that.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
that's noble to like give a chance to new players to experience null without being blown up the very first second.
yeah, and so care factor, like speed up time a little bit. Two things were happening for us, like uh in our corporation. Like recruitment is like extremely difficult, and I kind of had other like outside of game recruitment capabilities, but um I didn't take as full advantage of it because I didn't really like I wasn't as knowledgeable as I am now. And like recruitment was a struggle for us, and for a lot of the guys, we were just doing the same stuff day in and day out, and like we really needed to grind the moons that we were on because they weren't super valuable for cash. And like we were basically like building, manufacturing, and mining these moons just to keep the stations paid for, due to the rental costs that we had, and the fuel costs, which was really tough. So it like was really grinding us down, and we lost a lot of players, and it ended up just being like me and like one other dude trying to hold this whole thing alive and do everything, like everything from like a moon. One of our Athenors or the Tatara would pop a moon, and then like I would be the only one mining to try to get enough material to, you know keep the production flowing. And you could see where I'm getting with that. Like it was just rough.
Yeah,
And
solo mining a moon's like kind of a 24/7 job.
pretty much. And at the same time we were fighting a defensive war that we were losing, and we got into like this emergency evacuation system. And I believe that's kind of when we skipped out of Care Factor into APOC now. And because APOC was part of like the like evacuation efforts, because of I don't remember exactly why we flipped over and did that, but we basically abandoned our structures, left a lot of our stuff behind, and joined APOC, and then um, got out of there. And then like me and a couple of the other boys like got our stuff out, but we're so like demoralized and burnt out that we essentially just got out some of our essentials into like the really high valued items, because the asset protection is like not cheap. And then just logged off and like took a mega break from there. And then I came back for a little bit of a spurt and joined Lollipop. Um, Lollipop Monopoly is the next one for Arkenstone in there. Honestly, I don't even remember anything from them. They were some like Sov Holding alliance. I don't even know where they were. And
Okay, so
I
by
just
that time, you guys had left Provi.
yeah, we left Providence. We were back in high sec. Like went on a big break, and then me and James came back. Um, I believe it was just the two of us. I don't remember having anybody else around. And then wanted it. We missed Null-Sec a lot, and wanted to go back. So we just found Lollipop and joined them, and that didn't last long either. We played for a little bit and then burnt out again, after some time, and essentially got kicked back and left in Providence, or left in high sec again. And we came back this past summer, and got the whole gang back together. We were doing our thing, also just staying in high sec. But with we had a purpose this time around, which was really cool. Like I definitely had a fire in my belly. I did my homework. Like I knew more. I was researching things. I watched like like all of Marky Dragon and Loru's videos on everything ever. Like you know what I mean. Like I came in back to Eve swinging to win the like for real. Not the Eve way. And James came back, Terrence came back. A couple of the old crew members we reached out to, they came back. I recruited really hard, and we were high sec, and we were right back to the roots, like where we started, with high sec mining, and doing some like low grade industrial, and just kind of simmering for the time being. And our objective, we wanted to go back to Null-Sec, because like that's where the money's at. Like that's where all the action is. That's where all the good stuff is. High sec, it's cool for some people, but not for us. Like it's not enough. And we knew that, but we wanted to do it right. And I wanted to really build up the corporation before that. So I was like head over heels recruiting like crazy. And it was during the summertime, and I honestly think I just kind of lucked out. And I had a huge recruitment campaign from like late June, when we came back to like through August and September, and we just blew up. I interviewed every single person, and scrutinized people for their history and what they did. And I was pretty selective, and we were open to new players too. So we were also like training people up and bringing in people and getting them up to speed at the very same time. And Arc 5 just kind of blew up. We went from like a group of three buddies that used to play with each other in the past and play other games, all the way up to, I don't remember what our peak number was at, but we had quite the crew.
But right
Um,
now, if what I checked this afternoon, I think you're what, like 83 right now.
yeah,
That's a sizable amount of players.
this total those are total tunes because everybody has alts
Right.
and stuff like that. We're actually looking at closer to 30, like actual like true like heartbeats, which is still pretty cool. Better than three.
Yeah,
Better than three
definitely.
for sure. And I have I wouldn't say strict because we're a pretty relaxed group, guys, like as you know. But um I have a an activity policy like that I help keep implemented with the corp. So everybody could come back if they take a break from the game, and they get booted out for inactivity. But I do want to try to keep like only active headcount around. So and that's including the alts. So the 83 members that are actually in the corp right now that you pulled up are generally active on a regular basis, which is cool to know as well. Just so
Yes. So
like
you don't keep like dead fish that haven't logged for like 3 months just to pad the numbers, right?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I was aware of that because I know that's what alliances look for, and I want to make sure that we're as lean and as real as possible, like for our corporation. Like no BSing, no funny business. Like we are what we are. Take it or leave it. um yeah, I don't want to look like we're some like massive conglomerate and I got like all this crazy stuff going on. No, like yes, we have guys that have a bunch of alts and stuff like that, but um we're a group of like tight knit crew that is very community first driven. I've turned away a lot of cool people I've met in Eve that have applied to join our corporation just because I didn't think they were going to be a good fit with our community. They have like 10 accounts and they could do this crazy industrial stuff, or they can multi-box all these things and fly like a bunch of carriers or combat ships at once, and they got like almost 200 mil skill points or whatever. Like I don't care about that. Like yeah, that's cool, and anybody with their right mind would probably pick them up just because of like how much like weight and force projection they could bring to the table. But I'm
Right.
more worried about having cool guys to sit in a Discord channel and chop it up and make fun of each other in a friendly way, and just have a good time. uh,
Exactly. Like you're a super tight knit group, and I can actually testify to that since I flew with you guys back then.
yeah, and that's what we like I think that's the secret sauce to Eve, in my opinion. Like Eve is a tough game, it's a broad game. It could be relentless and ruthless in some ways, and really rewarding in others. And I think the best way to play Eve is with other people as a group, and having a good group of people you're comfortable to hang out with. I also think is what matters, and that's when you win Eve, and that's what I want to promote. Like with our group, it doesn't matter what we do in the game. If we were an industrial group, mining group, if we are PvP focused, pirates or whatever, you name it, throw it out there. Like we do stuff together, have a good time, and like that's winning Eve in my eyes. And that's how we found rolling back into the history like Reloaded. I took my time. I was like diligent with it. I wanted to grow and develop people. I was recruiting like crazy. We got a lot of guys coming in. Some people didn't work out, of course, and left or quit, or I had to boot them for toxicity reasons. Um, but ultimately, like we got a good group of people, and I wanted to just like a lot of them were actually, they knew our objective was to go to Null-Sec eventually, and we're getting kind of antsy about it because we were just hanging out in high sec. And I'm like, hey, like we just need to like train up a little bit. I want everybody, like especially the new bros, to get some skills under their belt and understand how the game mechanics work. So when we do go to Null-Sec, like we don't make the same mistakes again, like I did like with my friend group when we went into Providence the first time. And um I think it really worked out for us. Like we did some test runs. We went to some like secluded like low sec area. I'm like, hey, low sec is not the same, but similar in some cases to null sec. Let's go. And I just picked this system we scouted out for a long time, and I'm like, hey, we're gonna, as a corp, we're gonna go down to this system over here and just lock it down. Just completely own the entire airspace, and we're going to have a mining op in a very dangerous part of like mining in low sec or null sec without any allies are is scary. So I was like in my head, I'm like, hey, if we could pull this off, and it's like roughly, it's not going to be perfect, but if we could organize it well and maintain it amongst ourselves, like we could uh we can make this work, and that'll show if we're ready or not. And we tried it. We went into a low sec system, completely invaded their space, camped them out of everything, pushed any of the players that do hang out in there out, and we were able to mine some low sec ores pretty easily and conduct like operations there like relatively unimpeded. But it was fun. We kind of separate like our player base by gameplay style. So we have like our combat division, we have like the miners, we have our industry people. So everybody played their part. Like we're in their specific roles. It was well organized. We had a pretty solid like FC at the time, and a mining like fleet commander, and it worked out pretty well. After that, like me and like my senior directors, which would have been like James and Terrence at the time, and division leads that I had in place. We kind of talked it over ourselves, and I'm again like going back to the community aspect of it. Like I was big on making sure that everybody's on the same page. Everybody knows what we're doing. We're trying to be as transparent as possible, and have everybody involved in our decision making too. So I laid it out like and put up some polls, and I'm like, hey guys, like this is the deal. Like do we want to go to you want to stay in high sec? Are you comfortable here? Like do we want to try to like live in low sec? Which we recommended, actually, because it went so well. We considered just like kind of making that system that we locked down our home, which was interesting. Or the third option was to like have me start like browsing around and you know uh sweet talking alliance leaderships from different alliances to see if we could join a bigger group and return to nullsec as a team. And the whole corporation, I had a all hands meeting, and I set up the poll. I left it open for like a week, and everybody, I wasn't unanimous, but the majority vote went with looking for a nullsec alliance. So then I kind of got to work with that. I know me, Terrence, and James wanted to return to Providence because we just had some sweet history and good times there. And we already knew the area, so it was like there was like a comfort level with it. So we did some. That was I mean, we were looking everywhere. Because I also like the idea of just trying to dip our toes in the water and find a different part of Eve to live in and experience something else. But the comfort level of Providence was pretty nice because we already knew the lay of the land. And that's we did some shopping, looked around in Providence at the time, and found Reeloaded. They seem pretty cool, and I engaged with their alliance leadership, Sky, Micro Jedi, and Vaharo, and we kind of fell in love with them. We liked what they were about. It was a little off kilter for us because being a industrial corporation, Reloaded is a naturally they are a PvP centric alliance, as well as RMC being the coalition, is very PvP centric. Even if they do have industrial groups with them. So that was something different for us, but we were kind of up to the challenge, and it didn't seem too terrible. Like we had an idea how to fight, even though most of us were just miners and industrialists and barely had any like gun skills outside of like some ratting PVE kit. But kind of thought of it as an opportunity to like round out our skill sets, and we like the idea of like being miners with some teeth and being able to fight back because a lot of them don't.
Yeah, that's
And
a very good way to describe your corp. Actually, I like that, the miners with feet.
yeah, yeah, and that's how it's been since we joined Reloaded, and we're living in Providence, and it's been a great time. I've learned quite a lot, and I think my due diligence, planning, and preparing ahead of time when I came back has paid off dividends with the growth of the corp and like the longevity of it as well, like just maintaining our way of life, like helping out everybody and the community aspect to it all, and like just like the inner workings and logistics of it all too. Like it just works so much better now, and I have a way better understanding. So I'm really really proud of that. I'm really proud of my boys as well. Like everybody's bought into it. um like we're even like I'm sure you've caught on to it a little bit too. Like we kind of carried that over from that Arma uh milsim group that me, Terrence, and James used to play, and we kind of like the role play a little bit too, like just hints of it, and like the bulletin posts that I'd post up, or the fleet reports, and just like how we communicate information and structure things. Kind of has a little bit of like a corporate role play to it, and we like to throw that flair on top of it as well.
Yep. No, I definitely noticed that. Like I see the Milsom background somewhere.
Yeah, sorry, I was yapping a lot for that, but it means a lot to me. I'm really passionate about it.
Yeah, it shows actually, which is nice. I've seen corps with super absent leadership. You're wondering like, does this guy ever logs in? So it's nice to see someone as passionate as you are.
I appreciate that.
So how about the management of the whole thing? Like, is managing a corp your size like a second job, or is it still small enough to be laid back on this aspect?
I it it is definitely a second job, right? Like, well, I mean, like it's a video game. So like I could be as invested or not invested as I need to be, right? But from in comparison to like what you're referencing to, like with other like alliance leadership or corporate leaderships. But for me, like it is definitely a second job. Like I'm a I work for Amazon, and I'm a big boss for one of like their buildings. I do the same thing. Like I interview people, I hire people all the time. I have to holler at people and have them make sure they're doing their jobs correctly, and manage things, and make decisions in my real life job. And then I'm doing the same thing when I come home from work. Like I'll come home, I'm talking to potential recruits on Discord. I'm interviewing people. I'm doing research on their backgrounds. you know I'm making corp wide decisions, and assigning people tasks to go ahead and do things. I'm reprimanding capsuleers, people in our corp that are not following like our community guidelines, or any of the like the rules in place we have for the corp itself, which again aren't a lot, but they're there for a reason, of course. But it's definitely a second job for sure, but it's a job I like to do. I go to real life work to make money, and I come to Eve online work to blow up pixel spaceships and make stuff and punch space rocks. It's fun. It's fun. It can be a lot sometimes, though. I will say that, but
Yeah,
I'm
because I
not sure.
remember when I first joined you, like you were actually the most active person on r/eve jobs. Like recruiting, like you were very on top of that. What would you say the ratio of applicants versus the ones you accept in the corp? What would you say it is?
Hmm. Good question. Good
Like for
question.
every 10 applicants, how many do you accept? On average.
I would say, well, it depends. It depended on what time, you know, time in ArcVice history, right? Like in like July, August time frame, like back when we were blowing up, I was accepting quite a lot, almost everybody, within reason. You know, as long as they pass the, I like to call it the toxic, the toxic test, to to try to filter out the bad apples. Back then it was probably like 80% acceptance rate, like 8 out of 10, and then more so now, a little bit more restricted, a little way harder. Either I'm gonna say, I don't have like an exact metric for this, but judging by what I've been through in the last couple months, I would say like a 60, like a 50 to 60% acceptance rate. um but for a variety of reasons. Either when I sit and talk to them and explain what we're about and what's like currently going on with us, some people just, they're like, oh wow, okay, this isn't exactly what I thought it was. Or like, oh, I don't think this is going to be a good fit for me and my play style. A lot of that happens. It's kind of weird too. I get a lot of people that will reach out to me and then never respond. It's like, I don't know how you go through the effort to like friend me and send me a message and then just not say anything later. It's kind of weird, but
Well, I guess some
um,
players go like dynamite fishing. They contact like 15 corps and then they wait to see who's gonna answer. I guess.
oh, that's fair. Yeah, okay. I didn't think about it like that. Yeah, that makes sense. There's some people that, I mean, like, uh, there's corps that will accept everybody no matter what, and then there's corps that will interview like I do. Um, I'm a big believer of like comms chatter. Like you don't need to be the most social person, but you need to be able to communicate in a comms channel like Discord or Mumble, TeamSpeak, whatever whatever alliance or corporation floats on. Um, so I'm big on that. So like usually when I ask for like when I'm talking to potential recruits, I'm asking them like, hey, like, can you get let's schedule some time. I'd like to talk to you more about why you want to join and like what you're about and everything like that. And some people just don't want to get on comms, which is a hard stop for me in most cases, actually. So I've had to turn people away too because they don't want to talk.
Yeah, no.
Unfortunately,
When you're in a corp, it's nice to know like everyone has at least a pulse. You know what I mean?
yes, yes. That's a big one for us. And yeah, like I said before, I've turned people away that have like incredible stats in Eve, or potential, but they just, they're not, they weren't super kind and professional, um, when I spoke to them, and I just didn't didn't think they were going to be a good fit with the my crew, and I had to turn them away. Um, when I, from a business standpoint, like technically I'm turning away like the jackpot, but I'll do it. I does not phase me at all. Um, but yeah, I guess it's the time of year too when you're recruiting, like when people are available and free and active. Um, really around like the holidays, like I got an influx of applicants recently within the last like, let's say, like 6 weeks, just because like people are on holiday, vacations, the holiday season with Christmas and New Year's and all that. Um, off seasons. I could probably get an application, like even with me being on my best behavior, like re-upping our application posts often. Sometimes it's not that common. Sometimes I'll post like for like 3 days straight and not get a hit on anything for a while, and then other days I post once after like a 3-day hiatus, and I get like 6 people that want to talk to me. So it could be all over the place.
And about the recruitment, like most recruitment application interviews for Null-Sec Corp, they're like more personal than the average rectal exam. So how do you conduct those?
How do I conduct those?
Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of like how we're talking now, like just general conversations. Um, I just want to hear about like what their intent is. Like get insight on like where they're coming from, like what kind of skill set do they have, what are they into, where do they want to be, why us versus anybody else, a whole plethora of reasons, and like I'm also vibe checking at the same time, like like how cool, how much of a conversation holder are they, are they cool, like they do I feel like they're gonna fit with my guys, do they have any potential indicators that like they might like conflict with anybody that I already have within the group, stuff like that. And I'm also kind of looking like where they would fit if I did bring them in, where would they fit and where can I like best assign them to like one for them to be successful and two to have to benefit the corp's objectives and goals. Hopefully that answered what you asked.
Yep, definitely. And as for corporate goals and projects, did you ever use the corporation project thing that rolled out like 2 years ago as part of the Viridian expansion? I think,
The
or do you
freelance
prefer to
jobs?
handle that just with your own Excel sheet?
The freelance jobs, or are you talking about
Oh
something
no,
else?
the corp projects, the older thing that no one seems to use.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sure I even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it was 2023, like Viridian. I think well, when I first started, anyways, they released like corporation projects, like CEOs and directors could do some projects in the corp interface, but no one seems to have ever used that thing actually.
Yeah, I don't think no, I don't think I have. I've used the freelance stuff before to direct the corp in one way or another, for like more simple tasks that like has like a direct payout or reward system for people that get involved with it.
Yes.
But
Have you tried to use the freelance job as the corporate buyback, or do you run a more web-based classic buyback, or how'd you go about that?
I wanted to use the freelance as a corp buyback program because it seemed super intuitive, and it is intuitive, but it's such a pain in the butt to set up, and it's very specific. For to set up a corp buyback system through the freelance is very difficult because you could only do it per one item. You can't select multiple items or like a generalized item to buy back, which I guess has its ups and downs. So I could kind of target. So I have in the past, I have done it, and I still will. I haven't done it recently, but like I don't mind setting it up for targeted ore, but that's all you can use it for. I can't just like say like, oh hey, like I need all of the ore, like we'll buy back anything. You know what I mean? I would have to put up a project for every single ore type for a buyback program, which is extremely tedious.
Yeah,
So
and
I
it,
only
and it has costs for that also.
it does, yeah. So I only use it for like very hyper focused objectives, like if I really need to. But I've generally just been doing kind of like what everybody else does is just like a some percentage of Jita pricing through Janus, and I just buy it outright. Like they'll put it in a contract with the Janus link, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, and I feel I have a public buyback that I started like a month ago in high six, so I just use like 88% G to buy for the reprocess value, and that's it.
Yeah, something along those lines, pretty much.
All right, and how about the balance between industry and defense needs? What I mean by that is, would you accept a player that's like 100% industry focused and that's really not interested in flying any kind of combat ship?
Um, yes and no. Like I believe, like yes, we do accept people that are totally industry based. Um, and if that's their play style, that's their play style. Like, do I personally agree with it? Um, if you talk to me back when we first, created Arkenstone Foundries, I absolutely would. But now, after leading our group and being a Null-Sec and joining like Reeloaded and like going through all the experiences I've had so far, um, I it's tough. Like I think it's a very fundamental like knowledge that like most capsuleers like need. If they like it or not. Like I talk about it a lot with the guys in our corp right now, you know, like I feel like miners need to know how to defend themselves, and I think they should like even if they don't do it like as a hobby, right? Like just knowing how to fight back and what steps to take to try to help get yourselves out of crap situations, or or like even just be more prepared to scram and get off grid when trouble is coming. I think is paramount. So in the past, and I mean it's still now, but I do heavily encourage. We still like have people in our corporation that are not combat trained, but I heavily encourage them, and we do help teach them and train them up to either defend themselves or try to get away as efficiently as possible.
Right, and I'm also guessing that your alliance has some expectations when you have like strategic ops to do or whatever, or if you guys ever want to expand it to some more systems or whatever. Like, I guess they have some kind of expectations for you to show up, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, every alliance and coalition has like their doctrine ships, which is like like a set fitting for a certain ship type that they prefer. And most PvP and PvP alliances and coalitions will have CTA requirements, where you have to join like the big blob fleets and go out and do stuff using those doctrine ships. And most of the time they're like, hey, if you can't fly this doctrine ship that we're calling for, we have a couple different alternates. Or you could tech one the guns if you can fly the ship, but you can't use the tech two guns, right? Or fly like interceptors or dictors. Are really easy to get into, so that's usually very common for new bros, or like low skill point players, or the miner, getting into combat. But because every ship counts in the fight. Like we there's a role and responsibility and a benefit to having like tons of all types of ship types. So everybody could feel valued and benefit from fleet combat, and then also be a part of something bigger when the coalition has objectives and missions that were going on.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I mean, industry is very skill intensive. Like right now, I'm training skills that are 60 and 50 days, so sometimes it's harder for some people to justify extensively training into combat alts, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's a decision you got to make, and I try to make that as clear as possible when people are joining the corporation, because like that's part of like what I have on my recruitment posts is like, hey, we're a mining industrial corp, like, come join us. And I've had to tailor some of my advertisements to broadcast that we need combat pilots as well. One, because I know like I want to have people online that know how to defend and fight so they could help defend our mining fleets, and then also help train up our industrial pilots so that we could all rally and fight if need be. But it is very difficult, yeah. But yeah, it's just part of the game, and what we signed up for. I did that was part of it too. Like when we joined Reloaded and converted over into Null-Sec space, and we joined a PvP centric alliance in coalition. I lost a lot of pilots because they're just like, hey man, like I voted against it. I respect it. Like I know you guys, this is what the majority wants to do. Like that's cool, but it's not for me. And I'm just gonna move on. Um, I just lost some people because of that. So
Yeah, but I guess
it
that's okay.
happens.
In the end, it's their personal preference, I guess. So in your corner of nullsec, what about structures? Like, are those like did you guys anchor and run your own structures, or is that part taken care of in the alliance level? How's that work exactly?
Our current structures.
Yeah.
So the corporation, we own a few moon drills in Providence. Every alliance is different, so what I say now is may not necessarily apply to anybody else. I'm not sure, but um, the we could anchor our own regular structures, but the alliance holds most of the like industrial and staging structures that are needed. So it's not necessarily like needed
Okay.
for us to have our own structures. Technically, we could to put up our own like modules and research and industrial bits in there to help out and just be self sufficient. But that's kind of what we have going on with Reloaded and how Reloaded Alliance makes their money off of the corporations is through the taxes they get through like
Right.
reprocessing fees and the office rentals and stuff like that. So like that's just part of the agreement we have with them is that we're using their stuff and we participate in fleets and we basically can live there, you know, unbothered.
Well,
So
that's a very nice arrangement. But do you have like a say over what structures are in your systems? For example, like the type of mineral prospecting arrays and such. Like,
absolutely we do. Yep. I've actually yeah, like I mean cuz Sov Null has like a sovereignty upgrade system. So it's really nice because we could just put whatever ore we want wherever we want and have it spawn there. It's
yeah,
it's
exactly.
wonderful. That's
If you're bottleneck with like isogen, for example, you can have the isogen prospecting array, and
yep,
like you can switch those.
yep, absolutely. And we do that on the regular. Exactly how you described too. Like yep, like on demand. We could just ask him. They'll help us out and put it in whatever system they can squeak it in on. They might have to turn off like other modules for it. Depends on what's going on, Um, but yeah, we have pretty much all the basic ore types at our fingertips, and I think the only one that I could be wrong about this, but I think the only one that doesn't have its own array is the morphite, like the mercoxic mining, which just spawns naturally with the I think it's the industrial index for the ADMs.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm curious to see how it works for security during your mining ops. Like, you ping a standing alliance fleet if trouble comes, or are you kind of left to fend for yourself in your own systems? Like, how does that work if, like, a roaming gang comes by?
Both. Uh, both of those questions are correct. So and this is part of how I structured the like ArcFi Corp is we have our own asset protection division, which is combat focused pilots, and our asset protection boys will like when we ping for a fleet, say like, hey guys, like we're gonna meet up at this time, we're gonna go and mine this ore type, in this system, and then we'll call for, combat, it'll be all hands on deck. We'll just whoever can show up, and then we'll have people in combat ships set up to scout ahead and make sure that the systems around us are clear. They'll sit on gates. Like we'll actually have like people in combat ships like protecting the fleet proper, either by posting up like forward gate camps, or like standing like on grid with fleet or in system with fleet, prepared to jump in or engage targets that come in with us. So we have like a layered defense just within our own right, that we'll do as a corporation proper, and then expand that out to the alliance and the coalition. Like that's what standing fleet is all about in their intel system, to help with early warning, and then if anything's like super critical, like we could flash form to match and engage the enemy, like whatever they are or wherever.
Yeah, because Providence been known forever to be like like almost like some kind of a ganker school, like to do like hot drops, whatever, black ops and stuff. So
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, people are going to do whatever they want, and hot drops are pretty difficult to fight against. But it's not impossible. You get the right ships, the right crew. You set the right trap, and you could clobber them or even though they think they're trapping you, you could spring something else like a counter drop.
Oh yeah, you
Just
can
takes
turn the
some
table
time.
on them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So earlier on, we talked about the Catalyst expansion, like it was 2 months ago, or just about. And it's very mining intensive. Like, did any of those changes affect the way you guys work? Because do you as a corp stay pretty conservative and prioritize like least residue possible, or do you prioritize
Yes.
yield over preservation?
Yeah. So different tactics for. Oh, we're about to get super rock nerdy here. Um, different tactics for different ore types. For sure. The standard ore belts, like the regular ore that we have the anomalies for those. It's fair game for whatever. Um, Most people use. It's very common for miners to use the ore strip miners nowadays. Um, the modulated strip miner twos are excellent, but they do produce a lot of waste. In the normal raw ore belts, um, just pulling in as much as possible is fine, because most of the most of the ore belts, like once you deplete the field, like another one spawns with a reasonable amount of time if it's not instant. So you can just kind of forever mine that way, in a sense. Where if you have a moon goo, like a moon fracture, and we're mining moon ore, that's depending on the rarity of the ore, but generally all moon ore is valuable. Even the R4s and the R16s, depending on what you're looking for. So we shift gears to a more preservation of the mineral itself.
Yeah, like T1s or ores only, I guess.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So yeah, T1s are ore miners, for sure on moon goo and moon rocks, um, and that's absolutely paramount when it comes to like R32s and 64s. With the new expansion too, it's nice because of the crit system.
Yeah,
Because the
I love I love those crits. Like mining just got a little bit less boring. Like you actually want to look at your screen instead of Netflix. Like you want to hear that fucking crit.
Oh yeah, the crits. And yeah, I absolutely agree, because I multi-box. I have 5 accounts. So I'll pull out my mining fleet. I have an Orca booster pilot, and I got 4 mining barges that'll accompany it. And like I'm a force to be reckoned with on my own, and I would naturally, like, pre-update, I would set up, fire my beams, and like you pretty much, if you know you're safe, you kind of just set a timer and then watch YouTube or read, or banter with your boys, and wait until the timer pops and move the ore from the hold to the hangar, rinse and repeat, compress, and then just kind of keep going there. And you could just time it. And it was boring as hell, and like super easy to manage, and it just took forever, and it kind of dragged. Where now, like, yeah, exactly what you're saying, like breathe like a lot of new life into it. It's quicker. The crit system brings a randomness factor to it, so you can't set a timer and then just come back. Any high sec miner, right? You can't just set a timer and then come back and, oh wow, like you arrived back in time when your ore hold just filled up. Um, you gotta stay at you gotta stay on it. You gotta pay attention, and keep everything moving. And it's really nice. So like going from a half AFK stupor pre update to now, I have to pay attention to all my characters all the time and like micromanage my ore inventory. It's way more exciting, way more exciting. And I've noticed too that we've avoided a lot more. Our KD ratio to like mining barges lost to gankers has decreased, and I think it's because we're like miners are paying attention more.
That would
um
make sense.
you know what I mean? Like, instead of me like setting up my account and then like playing on my phone for a little bit while I mine, I'm actually like managing my inventory and my ore hangers, and then I'm also looking at D scan and local at the same time too. So you're just naturally paying more attention to the game.
Yeah, and I don't think we give enough credit to the new compression shortcut. Like that was thank you CCP, thank you.
Oh, that was huge. It changed my
Seriously,
life.
it's such a small quality of life, but wow,
Yeah.
I'll
It's
never see that.
powerful too. It's so powerful because on my 5 accounts, like, I could just, dart my, I don't use any of those fancy, like, multi-boxing tools, not yet anyway. So I just dart my mouse across my account screens and, just boom, 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 and everything's compressed, like, in
Yep, exactly.
seconds.
I don't have those fancy add-ons or anything. I just alt tab and use my hotkey and so since we're nearing the end, I'm wondering what's next for the corp? What's next for the future of your corp? Are you still actively recruiting? Do you have like big industrial projects coming or
Yeah, always, always. We took a break from the industrial projects, because we're kind of in a offensive war right now, with, RMC in Reloaded, but we're ramping that up again. I got some big projects in mind for all of that. The corp aspirations, we're kind of holding steady, doing what we do best. Like, we're mining. A lot of the guys are kind of building stuff on their own. I'm still developing, like most corps have, and alliances have, like, a BPO library, so we're expanding that always and researching it up. Um, the usual. I'm always recruiting, always. I try to stay up with the recruitment, re-ups, like, in posts as much as possible. Always looking for, good pilots. A lot of the boys have been talking. We kind of want a Titan, which is a massive project, and I think it'd be really cool for us to build one. It would it would mean a lot to everybody, and I think it would be cool to kind of put all of our heads in one basket for that. But I'm still kind of like assessing the situation and laying out the groundwork for that. Um,
yeah, it's a big undertaking, right?
yeah, I think we might take on building. Well, right now we're just our moneymaker right now is helping build doctrine ships for the alliance and the coalition. So
Right.
like that's a given. But outside of that, like something like specifically for ArcFi, preparing ourselves to build. I like to build industrial ships still and kind of stick true to our old roots, um, and hand those out, or like have or sell them to the court members for like dirt cheap, to help them out. Because we are an industrial corp, like, at heart, still, of course. So I like to play to that as well and build barges for people. I want to ramp that up to like orcas and porpoise fits, and then go up from there too to possibly, like, I think an interesting stepping stone would be to build like a Rorqual, from scratch, and selling that off, or maybe like raffling it off to some of the court members. You know,
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
that would be pretty cool. Um, and like kind of like work our way up to like building a Titan, because that's that's just cool. I
No, it
I
is. It
I
is
don't need to say
seriously.
anything else.
Like I just started my own little solo project is to build an obelisk right now, so a freighter, and
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that's for a solo player is still a big undertaking because I just started playing around with reactions and stuff. But yeah,
Oh,
I just can't imagine
reactions
like
are
a rock
wild.
wall must be nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I thought it'd be cool because we thought about it. We considered building one just to sell it, and I'm like, no, like I'm sure there's somebody, instead of selling to some random Joe Schmo in the universe, like, why not, like, turn it around and maybe like we'll cut some of our profit that we could pull from it, and give it to somebody here that's going to help us, like, return on investment,
Yeah,
like, just give it to them for production cost plus some amount, and have them utilize it. Obviously you're going to use it, and it'll just exponentially support us in the next endeavor, like whatever it is. If we turn around
and
and do it again.
it would
You know?
actually change your life because an orca nullsec is pretty much a sitting duck, right? It's not the best compared to a rock wall, for example. So that'd be like a big step up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, like, it's a situational as well. you know, a Rourke is, that's the industrial king, no questions asked. But um, in hot war zones and stuff like that, like super smart to take out? Probably not. You'd rather risk an orca or a porpoise
Yep.
in some situations over others, and then the capabilities are different too. Um, because like an orca could compress ice and moon ore where a porpoise can't.
Exactly. I think it will be all for tonight. So, well, I hope some of our listeners will at least check you guys out and see if it would be a fit like that. That'd be cool if that interview could serve as a recruitment tool for you guys. Like
Yeah,
I personally can vouch for you guys. Like I flew with you, so yeah. If anyone's listening to this, seriously, give it a thought. Like,
yeah, absolutely. We're out here. You could friend me on Discord is usually the primary method I use. Um, or find one of our recruitment posts and reach out to us. Like, we're always available and willing to talk for sure.
yep, and I'll also include the info in the video description.
Oh yeah, sure. That would be awesome.
All right, so thank you very much for your time, Ro.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank
And
you for having me.
yep, and fly safe, but not too much.
Drive fast, take chances.
Exactly. All right, see ya.
Yep. Have a good one.